Hi again, everyone. It's John Galante, president of AE Ventures, with another one of our Builder Innovator Bull Sessions. This is number 3. Bull Sessions are freewheeling, spontaneous discussions that tackle a topic or two. Today, I'm pleased to be joined by Frank Guido, who's the founder, president, owner, whatever, of Aareas Interactive, one of the originals in the design center category. You guys have been doing this 25 years plus, right?
33.
33, oh my God, we're getting so old, Frank. We're so Italian and getting so old.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
I want to introduce Frank Guido to Harry Giovanni at Radiant Panel Technologies.
Okay.
Because you guys both have 2 first names, right?
All right.
Frank and Guido are Italian.
They are.
Guido's an Italian, and Giovanni is an Italian.
It is.
First name.
It is, yeah.
So we'll connect you guys. Anyway, and then Monica Wheaton, the great famous Monica Wheaton,
right.
who's the VP of Customer Success for ECI Software Solutions or something in that vicinity. Monica, thanks for joining. You don't have 30 years in digital design center, but you got a great track record in home building generally. And then
many years in home building.
And ECI has really had a strong focus on digital design center since its acquisition of InSearch 3 or 4 years ago, and I know it's something you're on a development path. What we wanted to discuss today was what are the feature sets that are being used in digital design center technology with the assumption used most, and with the assumption that those features that are used most are generating the most serious results for the players. So I don't know where this is going to lead us, but I'm going to ask you to kick it off, Frank.
All right, well, thanks for the introduction, John.
Yeah.
And where's the Brajols?
The Brajol. I promised Frank Brajol if he would sponsor something at this event at the International Builder Show, and then I could not deliver. It's hard to ship Brajol or carry it on a plane, and they don't make it in Nashville. So
Next time.
when you come to Boston, I promise.
All right.
Okay.
Boston beat the Leafs last night, too. Anyways, most used features, I think it's the visualizer configurator. Oftentimes our clients go on, they can visually take a tour of their house or their vignettes, and they can actually see all their options and selections.
Yeah.
They can actually tour the house, change any of their colors and materials, change physical options as well.
Yeah.
So we have, if you look at some of the statistics, it's not unusual. People spend 20, 25, 30 minutes a session.
Yeah.
And normal web sessions are less than a minute, right? Depending on how serious someone is.
Yep.
So there's a lot of time that people are spending on it, designing, configuring their house.
Yeah, we'll describe visualizer configurator a little bit more. I mean, so that means it's interactive, that they're able to play around and then they're seeing.
The best way to describe it is think of it like a Matterport tour. Everyone knows what a Matterport tour
Sure.
is. You take pictures of a real existing house.
Yep.
You're able to walk around it, but it's static. Nothing is changing. You can't change anything. Looks very photorealistic.
Yep.
And they're nodes that jump from point to point.
Yep.
The difference is this is actual real 3D gaming technology, so it actually streams to a device.
Yeah.
So it's smooth, fluid motion, and everything is generated in real time. So there's no jumping and no obsolescence. The problem with Matterport, it's a fantastic tool, but you got to build the house, which is very expensive, and then you got to stage it, furnish it, design it.
Yep.
Then bring in the crew to shoot it, and if your lighting isn't good, you can get missed results, and then it becomes obsolete. So over a number of years, builder may change out their materials, the furniture starts to get dated, and it's not it's per region. So if I shot this in Nashville, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be in Boston or in Tampa because the furniture is very regional. The styles are very regional.
Yeah.
With this technology, that completely is eliminated. You can visualize everything in real time and stage it virtually in any geography, and that really allows a person to.
Do you have the time of day, time of year sort of stuff built into that too? So like somebody can actually imagine what that space looks like in the dusk and in fall and that sort of stuff?
Right, absolutely. We can make it rain,
So
snow,
cool.
sunny.
When did
do
we
any of
start doing
too.
that?
What's that?
When did we start doing that? Because I love that feature. I don't know that most builders even know that functionality
exists,
is
yeah.
available.
Probably 10 years ago or so. What's different today is we stream this so on any device. You can take your phone out and you can actually do this on your phone. So you don't need any special hardware in a builder sales office. Now the technology is the rule of thumb is if you can stream Netflix, you could use this technology.
Yeah. So visualizer configurator, most used. Going to that platform question, where is, do you have percentages that are using it in a desktop type application versus mobile? Do you have any sense of that?
Yeah, mobile's about 55-45.
Wow.
It used to be, 10 years ago, it was,
Yeah.
30-70.
That's amazing. I would
today
think
it's
I
more
would
mobile.
want to do it on the desktop with a big screen experience, but people just don't have the time to do that. Huh?
That's where people search today. That's where they start. And then the ones that are more serious, I think the longer times, you're correct. People do a desktop. So if I were to purchase a house and I'm actually sitting there doing my selections, yeah, I'm going to do it on a larger screen because you only so much you can see on a mobile desktop, on a mobile.
Yeah.
So it does increase when someone's actually looking at making final selection.
So they're spending a long time per session. How many sessions are they typically having before they make their selections?
It depends
Final
on the builder and their options and their selections, but it's not unusual to have 8, 9, 10, 12. The beauty is, this is the big advantage of a digital design center. There's no time constraints. I can spend as much time online, and I can share with my friends too. We have people that share that with their friends. And
So
they'll
what do you
just-
know about sharing? Are you able to track the sharing functionality?
Absolutely.
So like
Absolutely.
what percentage are sharing stuff?
Oh, I don't have that right now. I can probably look that up.
What do you have, a ballpark sense?
I think around 10-15% of people are actually sharing it with friends and family. But that's pretty good because, if I have 500 people that are following me and I expose now and I share this, that, hey, check out this new house I'm buying from Builder X, and I share this with my friends and family, that's another 500 people that get exposed and say, wow, look at this great customer experience this builder's
A lot of people need the consensus decisions, right? They don't
absolutely.
want to make this decision on their own. They want plausible deniability that somebody else said it was a good idea. Okay. Sharing. What about when you talk about these sessions and they're doing the configuration, is there meta information on some of the specific finishes and such that they're playing around with that they drill into? Is that part of a session, or is that a separate set of activities that they dig into?
It's a great question. Absolutely. Everything is recorded. So anything that someone clicks on, so even if they haven't made the selection, I'll know that if there's 10 different colors of tile that they're looking at, I'll know that they clicked on the 10 of them and which one they're actually saving to their cart as they're going through this process. So we'll know exactly what they're looking at and which ones they're saving.
And the depth of information that they're consuming on that stuff, because you have different levels, right? Some stuff needs explaining, right, in terms of the quality of the finish or the materials or anything like that?
So there's a lot of metadata. So when someone clicks on a tile, you can have a pop-up that brings up more information about it. And that information is anything the manufacturer provides and or the builder wants to upload. Warranty information, how to maintain it. It's like whatever you want to add up there, the more you can add. It's unlimited amount of information that you can add.
I mean, for you builders who aren't doing this stuff yet, I mean, are you starting to understand the quality of the information and the interactive experience that happens with a digital design center sort of technology, especially from a player that's been around as long as Frank and Aareas? So where was I going to go? I don't know. I'm going to turn it over to Monica for a second. Just like, what are our most used features on the ECI InSearch side of things?
Yeah, and so I'll just talk a little bit. There's two different sides to InSearch. There's the sales side, and then there's the design center side. And on the sales side, that's all the stuff that you have basically before the builder buyer makes any kind of decision to purchase your product. So that's the interactive floor plans, the configurators, those kinds of things. And some of our builders are putting a design center where they can spec a few products. the prospect can go in there and spec a few products so they can kind of get a little bit more invested in their home.
Yeah.
So that's on the public website.
Pre-sale personalization.
Resale personalization.
And we want to sell the benefit of personalization
Yes.
to the new home buyer, right?
Yep.
Because that's one of our differentiators versus used houses, right?
Exactly, right. And then once they make the purchase, then we actually have the design center itself where they're actually specifying which products they're going to put in their actual home.
Right.
And we have found that a lot of builders are using that very well, where they'll send out the link and they include pricing on there.
Yep.
And that's been something that we found is very valuable to the builders, because without the pricing on there, the buyers will start building this house, this dream house that they want with all the soup and nuts and everything in it. And then they come into the design center, and then the poor designer has to have that hard conversation with them about, you can't afford any of this, and we got to take this off and that off.
Right.
So it really ends up being a really poor experience.
Right.
But with the pricing on there, once they...
Pre-sale configurator has pricing included.
It can, yeah.
Yeah.
So what we do on the pre-sale side is you can do a mortgage calculator. So a lot of times people can kind of get an idea for what they are expecting to spend.
Yeah.
So you can put a mortgage calculator on there, and then they can, do estimates on if they bump out this room or add an extra bathroom, how is that going to impact their mortgage payments
Yeah.
each month. So I think it's really important to know what you're going to spend. Like, you don't go to the grocery store and put, not know what you're going to spend on the things that you're buying at the store.
Yeah.
And this is something that you're making a huge investment in for your life. So,
Well, that makes sense. I mean, when we think about the closest analog to this, it's these visualizers and configurators on the car maker websites, right? It's like you don't pick the sport model with the whatever the fancy tires are without understanding what the price is there, even before you've made an offer on the car. So why would
Right.
homes
Why would
be
you do that in the house? Right. And the cool thing is that you then the buyers can do their trade-ins themselves. Like, is it really important for me to have these really nice cabinets, or should I invest in another, higher end sinks in my luxury bathroom or whatever, or another tub or something like that. So it puts that power into the buyer's hands.
Yeah.
And it's really cool, because then they can come in with their wish list and again have those great discussions with the designer.
Do you have any sense on a percentage basis? Frank was able to generate some metrics off the top of his head. I don't know whether you are, but like for the builders who decide they want to have that pre-sale functionality, do you have usage rates or click-on rates for that sort of stuff? Is it a popular feature for the website visitor, even on the pre-sale side of things?
It is. We don't have a lot of builders that have put the design center in the front end. And in the design center that you put in the front end isn't going to be the same one that you have on the back end, right? Because you just want to get a sense of color and a sense of this and that and the other, right? To just get them sort of in the general area.
Yeah.
But it is a highly used feature. And the conversion rate on when they're in the design center on the sales side is huge, because now they've invested in their home, they've built out what they want, and they just need to now come in and really just finalize everything.
Yeah, I worked with a guy, good salesman, who always said if you could get the buyer to do some work, you have a much better chance of them actually buying something.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, yeah, and then you don't have the tire kickers coming into the sales office and wasting the salespeople's time, because they already kind of know what they want. But the other thing that really has been valuable that we've learned out of the design center is just all the data that you can get out of what's being not only put on the wish list, but then what's coming off the wish list to go to the final build list. And then you can look at why is that, or what kinds of trends are there. And in our presentation earlier this week, we looked at some charting of the color of cabinets, and for some reason white cabinets was off the charts, and then other colors were very minimal as far as that's concerned. And it really allows the builder to dive into the data there and figure out, okay, what can I do to either sell other colors or allow the buyers to see other things.
What am I going to show in my model?
Exactly.
If white is the new black or the new orange or whatever.
Right.
I mean, then let's go with the white.
Exactly. Well, and are they buying white because it's in the model? Or, if I painted all the cabinets blue in the model, would blue be the popular color? So, yeah.
So how do you work with a builder on those questions? I mean, is that one of the interactions, or are they left to their own devices to talk that stuff through?
No, blah, sorry.
Blah is allowed in both sessions. In fact, blah, blah, blah is
blah, blah,
actually
blah.
allowed.
Right, no, there are some of them that do have really good data that they're pulling out of their design centers, but we also have a lot of really good reporting that we're trying to do with it too. And we've actually are looking at an AI that sits on top of InSearch that pulls those reports and that data out for the builders, so that we can do a little bit of that analysis. And so that's actually part of my job as customer success. My goal is, and this is what I always tell my customers, is not just to make sure they're successful, but to make sure they're wildly successful leveraging our products and things like that.
I think the thing, maybe it's not here and now today, but we've been talking about it, is these wish lists, the non-executed piece on the wish list. That creates, if we can get more builders to think of aftermarket opportunities, that they can keep selling things after, and you can, and we're going to give you more information on that.
Yeah.
But if you have a wish list and all these things that dropped off the wish list, if you go back to somebody 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, and offer to execute on that side of things, or have a subcontractor or service provider execute on that stuff, there's potential for a revenue stream on that.
Absolutely. Yeah. And you know what the buyer's looking at and what they want. So.
Yeah. I remember what I wanted to ask you about, which was when you were talking about deep meta information on some of these products that are being materialized in the configurator or shown and presented. So, I think the thing that comes into a builder's mind is like, do I have to do all this work? Do I have to not only get all of the products and visuals, but do I have to write all these descriptions and stuff? And I don't have consumer-facing copywriters to do all that stuff. Or is there actually a resource or your interface with the manufacturers, who sometimes don't give good consumer-facing copy, but is there an interface with them so that they don't have to reinvent the wheel and create all this stuff from scratch?
Yeah, that's a great question, and it's a big problem in the industry. Many manufacturers don't have great information. So ourselves and others are trying to work with the manufacturers to have them provide more of this information in the proper way. What we've been doing to combat that is we've created a global library of materials and options that we're maintaining and constantly updating, and those get linked to any of our builders. So if someone picks a Moen 5450, they don't have, and it's already in our library, all that metadata gets already transferred to it.
Yeah.
So
So they've got a selection of stuff that's already maybe been worked on, even and not just collected, but worked on to be consumer facing. Because I remember
absolutely.
In the original days, and people might, and I'll bring up some competitor names here, and people might argue with what I'm saying, but we basically, you guys were in there, but I was looking at BDX and Envision and Options Online. And the difference that I saw on Options Online is they did the creative services work, because Mike Moore was a seller, he was a sales guy. So they did the creative services work on the copy that went with the stuff. And then on the Envision side of things, they were just using a machine, an engine, to collect a bunch of information from manufacturers. And it could be cut sheet level stuff, or it could be consumer stuff, but you didn't have copy that sold. And I guess it's my old copywriting roots. I started my professional career as a copywriter at Spiegel Catalog, but I believe in the power of copy. And when somebody finally gets to making a decision on a product, they actually do read that copy and say, do I really want that? And we can't ignore that. But you've got some of that work cataloged.
Right.
People can stand on the shoulders of other people's work, which everyone's looking to do in life.
Absolutely. And AI is going to be changing a lot of that as well.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't
AI
trust it 100% yet.
No, but it's on its way, right? The stuff you can do with AI today is pretty amazing. 2 years from now, it's going to be 5 times whatever we're doing today, or 10 times. I mean, there's a doubling in the power of AI every 6 months. So 2 years from now, it'll be completely changed.
Pendulum swings in my gut back and forth on AI, and I think we need to have the processes for the human quality control, because there's a lot. It's not like us as owner operators. It's like there are a lot of people who are like junior people working in something who may not. They just want to check the list that the task got done, and they don't really necessarily care 100% about the quality. And so then that's what I worry about, is an abdication of thinking
Right. Well, and I don't think that AI is going
AI.
to replace. I think it can provide some idea and some thought, like a starting place more than anything else, right?
Yep.
And so, but I think you do have to question the data that you're getting back through an AI,
Yep.
and really just review it to make
Well,
sure
the
it makes
copy.
sense. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, it does write some good copy and it does some good graphics.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, like,
it does. Yeah.
signature graphic design.
Right.
It's like,
Right.
how many graphic designers tiers would I have to go through to get to what AI generates?
I think the way to look at AI is as a productivity tool.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
it's not necessarily going to say, hey, it's just going to write me everything.
Yeah.
But where a copywriter would have to spend half an hour to write copy for this,
Yeah.
using AI tools, you can do it in a few minutes. So you're
Yeah.
going to expedite, make things a lot more efficient.
Yeah.
Well,
At
and
least in today's realm.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the digital design center too. A lot of designers felt like it would replace them, or it's going to replace a physical design center, but that's not the case at all. It really is enhances the experience, and we're even looking right now at when you have a physical design center, how do you incorporate the digital design center in it, and where do you put monitors or carry iPads or whatever else you can do to enhance the experience as people are sitting there touching and feeling
Yep.
the materials.
So let me throw out kind of an existential question here. It's just like we're 30. You're 33 years, did you say?
Yeah,
In
1991.
this journey, I mean, digital design center technology has been around a long time. I think in the classic technology adoption curve, we still haven't crossed the chasm. We're
Yeah.
still at. We're beyond enthusiasts. We're at early adopters, but we're not at early majority. So what the heck is holding us back? Why don't the builders get this? I mean, we've repeated the high-level benefits a million times, which are less buyer fatigue, more buyer engagement, higher take rates, higher profitability per home, a more pleasurable experience for the buyer. Yet somehow we haven't gotten to an early majority. What is it?
Yeah.
It's a great question. Sorry, you want to go ahead?
Well, I just think that it feels like it's a lot of work. It feels a little insurmountable to, I think, some builders, and they don't necessarily see the benefit to the buyer to having a design center, but they don't necessarily see the benefit to themselves. Like, yes, they're going to get more sales, but do they really need the design center to get more sales? And of course, I would argue yes. And part of our presentation earlier was just on the value that you get when you are exposing your data and your selections that way. Like, you have to be an organized builder, and that's hard. Like, builders sometimes don't want to admit that they don't necessarily know what all they offer or
Yeah.
really clean up those options and selections. And
Yeah.
once they can do that, though, they not only can offer a digital design center, but they become a much better builder too.
Yeah.
So it's about all of that,
Yeah.
I think.
Well, you've consulted with a lot of builders over the years. I mean, we did this research work, online research, and we don't have visibility into everybody's back office processes, but what it told us, and we're looking at national and regional builders. So that's the biggest $1 billion plus companies all the way down to the $35 million a year companies. But a builder that's building 50 homes a year is probably pretty organized, right? That's not an easy thing to do.
Right.
So
You'd be surprised.
Yeah, and I was
Well,
just going to say that too.
I
You would be
know,
surprised. Yeah, and they are. Yeah, they are organized, I'm sure, but when you get down to that level of detail, like, you have to know exactly what is going in your house in order to be able to offer it so that the buyer can select
But
it.
don't
right?
they have it on rogue XLSs all over the I mean, I'm not saying it's perfectly
Yeah.
organized, but it's not like there's nothing to work with.
No, and you're right. And I think
Yeah.
it's just that fear of that it just it's going to take a lot of work and nobody has time for it,
Right.
right? But
Right.
then once you actually get it set up and you have that accountability, that's actually why one of our builders recently purchased the design center in Search, so that they can hold their staff accountable, because when you're exposing your data, you have to be accountable to it and it has to be accurate.
Yep.
Which to me is really interesting, really quick, sorry, because the way that builders are doing design center right now, it's off of spreadsheets and of these books and stuff, and how outdated is all of that stuff that you're putting in front
How
of your
much
buyer?
more work is that?
And
how many
exactly.
more mistakes are made that way? Yeah.
Yeah, like when
Yeah.
you're comparing actually
they're not
having a
saving
system that
time.
people, right.
Really saving time.
Yes.
Because
Right.
the amount of time that goes into making the selections, I'm going to price this out later.
Yes.
They're just, you're forced to be front end. You have to
Correct.
do all the work up front,
Yep.
as opposed to doing the work over time.
Yeah.
But you're essentially doing the same amount of work,
Right.
but you're doing it less efficiently.
Yeah.
I give you a real example. One of my clients took about a year and a half to get everything up and running. You know, they used to take 2 to 3 months per project to do the selections to get them ready.
Right.
They can do them now in 30 days.
Right.
So they're far more
Right.
efficient. They can set up a lot faster and go to market a lot quicker.
So they think it's going to take too much work and too
Yes.
much time. That's not the reality. So we have to make that case.
Yeah.
We have to do the math and show the math,
And there's
right?
one more important
right.
point I
Yeah.
think that I want to mention here. If builders start thinking of the design center as a tool to help sales, that's where they get the real ROI, and that's when it makes a lot of sense.
The pre-sale piece that Monica, you
pre-sale.
do that stuff too?
Absolutely.
okay.
I mean, I can give you some incredible statistics.
Yeah.
Um,
You should give me
they
incredible
they
statistics. I'll share
and,
them.
and I will after this I will dig them up.
You
and
give
send
me
them to
incredible statistics, I'll give you a Brajol.
Done. Let's do it. No, but the pre-sale side, people going back to many of our clients are doing on the pre-sale side because it actually helps people fall in love with their house.
Right.
Yeah.
And not only are you doing like a Matterport type tour, but you actually design it. And the more time they spend in it, the higher the chance that they're going to fall in love with this home.
Yeah.
The more touch points they have.
Yeah.
And people that save there convert 5 to 6 times higher
Yeah.
than normal leads. So it's a fantastic lead generation tool that converts at higher rate than.
Well, I want to collect some of these statistics that make the business case. I like the Moonlight on the Hudson, the buyer experience. That's all great. But there's a lot of bottom line evaluation of this. And what we need is to speak with more of a unified voice across the players on some of these key benefits and the statistical lift.
Yeah.
And then they will start to believe
Yeah.
that it's worth their time and money, but that the time actually over time is
Yeah.
saved.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, absolutely. Well, I
Yeah.
could give you a really quick example of that in when you are working out of these books and spreadsheets and the buyer makes the selections, how many times is your designer going back to your purchasing person to make sure, one, that you still offer the product, and two, what is the price of the product that this buyer is selecting? And how many times are you crossing things off? With the Digital Design Center, the purchasing department has to keep that up to date.
Yeah.
So we have had a builder that went from 4 people and 5 days in setting the, from where they agreed to contract and they actually were able to sign the addendum and get everything finalized. That
Yep.
was 5 days. They are now able to get a buyer in with just the designer and close within 2 hours after they've made all the selections
Yeah.
without bothering anybody else. I mean,
Yep.
that's huge time savings.
I was, it was rolling around in my mind and I was trying to think of the reference. Do we know what Taylorism is? Taylor was this Purdue University professor. He did the initial time motion studies just when mass production was coming. It was actually
It's not Taylor Swift.
not
Yeah, that's what I
that.
was
No,
thinking.
we're in Nashville, but it was not Taylor Swift. I don't forget
there
what,
really
what
is a Taylor
Professor
factor.
Taylor's first name was, but he did the original time motion studies in these factories to try to figure out how to make things as efficient as possible. We almost need a time motion study on current state process on option selection and implementation versus digital design
Right,
center.
right.
Maybe need to look at it over a longer time because there's an upfront investment. But when is the payback on that upfront investment? So let's work on that. We're running out of time. I only have one minute.
Yeah.
So I am going to close it off there. We'll have more conversations on this in the future. I really appreciate your time.
Cool.
Give me the stats. I'll get you the Brajol. I don't know. We'll figure out a trade for something
Yeah,
else,
we could
okay?
get you sats too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us on this bull session.
Thank you.